Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to my Don't Starve Together beginner walkthrough. So we're picking up exactly where we left off last time because we've got some work cut out for us here. I just did want a caveat, I didn't say it maybe not clearly enough at the end of the last episode, but there is no real reason we need to get this nightmare fuel resource right now. We can always get that later. But I just saw the opportunity to do it right there fairly easily. So I just wanted to point that out just to save us from having to get that later. We'll need a lot more of this anyways, but for right now, it is just fine to not go insane and fight the nightmare beasts. Similarly to how it wasn't absolutely necessary to fight the clockwork early on to get these gears, but a little more important to have the gears, but a lot less to have this essence there. So you could just go, you should have just gone straight to regaining our sanity and getting back to a safe place. But, you know, I had full health, I had a little bit of armor, and at this stage in the game, only the crawlers spawn anyways, so it wasn't a huge risk to fight some nightmare creatures at that point, so I just decided to do it. Anyways, on with the main point here. So we will be repairing all of our sanity with prototyping in this episode, because there's no reason to do any of the clothing or food things for right now. But we did look at one of the crockpot recipes last time, which was this trail mix. 2 berries and 2 cooked birch nuts will get you that. We'll look at the next handy recipe that's really good for the early game, and that's meatballs. So 1 meat and 3 filler. They can be vegetables, they can be other things as well. Didn't have to be that, but while that's cooking up, I'm just going to do a little prefabrication of some things that we're going to need. Now, meatballs are pretty good foods there. They will recover, so 23 to 85. So, 62 and a half health, I think, is the official number. And we can just eat up that last one there to fix up our sanity. Just note that eating the cooked foods that we get from the crock pot also recover 5 sanity for each one that you eat. So that is another way to regain some sanity. But for now, let's look forward and start prototyping a bunch of things, because we will need them for our basin just to keep progressing forward here. So one of the main things that I'm going to look forward to doing, we're going to grab a couple of these pieces of papyrus, which is made from cut reeds. It does take 4 cut reeds to make each papyrus there, and I'm just going to use the ground for some storage for now, just to make sure I don't overload my inventory here, and also keep on cooking up some of these meatballs. So you notice how that meatball came out. We combined this meat and these stale carrots, and it's got some reduction in the freshness level there right away. But if we cook these carrots and, say, restore some freshness to them, we can also use the cooked carrots in this recipe. I'm just holding shift and clicking, and it goes into there automatically. And this, when I pick up this next piece of meatball, then we should get ones that are a little bit more fresh. The next item that we're going to make, let's make a chest actually, because we don't want to have our things just lying on the ground. It's not a bad thing, but I think it's a lot neater if we have things in our chest. So once again, just shift clicking and it goes back into our thing. So we can compare the freshness on these two here. We can see how, because we used a little bit fresher carrot, we got a little bit more fresh meatballs on the other side of it. So always a good thing to do that if you've got the time and the resources. Oh yeah, I also wanted to put down this second crock pot so I didn't have to do so many different cooking activities, but here we are. That's fine there. So the next thing with these two crock pots, we do want to make an ice box. So I'm just going to look at the ice box here, and I'm going to change it back to the classic version just so it's a little bit more familiar. I am not using a lot of the I keep forgetting the name. The fancy ones. For now, just so it looks, just for the new players, just so it looks a little bit more like what you might be making in your game. So now we've got 4 meatballs left over, and we can put anything with this freshness into the refrigerator. Even if it's not an actual food item, if it's got a freshness to it, you can put it into the ice box to slow the rate of it spoiling on us there. And one other thing that we're going to look to is putting a log on the fire here. Add fuel. There we go. So each log that you put on will last exactly 2 wedges on the clock there. So because this night is 3 wedges long, we would need 2 pieces of wood on the fire. Just one thing to point out there. Put that in. Keep our armor on us for now. We're going to put this away. We don't need it. We will need these seeds. And the next thing to prototype is going to be a bird cage. A bird cage is a wonderful addition to our base. It helps us make, well, we can do things with seeds in the bird cage, but we can also make eggs, which leads to Wilson's actual favorite food, which is bacon and eggs. It's another crock pot recipe. We can't make it just now because we used up all of our meat making the meatballs, but not a huge deal. We'll get to that fairly quickly. But if we do want to get the bird cage made and then work on catching a bird to put into the bird cage, because that is the other half of the equation there. So I think it's in the structures tab. I'm not being familiar with Don't Starve Together's crafting thing. It's probably just best to look it up here. So bird cage takes 2 of that papyrus that we prototyped there a minute ago, 6 gold, so that's going to use up over half of our gold, but that's fine. We'll be able to get more gold fairly quickly here. And then 2 seeds. Seeds are generated when a bird flies off. So a bird will come down and land, and then it flies off, and it has a chance to leave behind a seed. So that's where these seeds have been coming from. Just make sure I put my bird cage down somewhere around here as well. And we can pick up a couple of extra of those. We will need 4 of that silk that I was talking about earlier, because this is how we're going to make the bird trap. So if we look here under food again, where's the food? Food and gardening. There it is. A bird trap here. So if we prototype the bird trap, we're going to put this down on the ground, and we can actually bait it. You can bait it with a number of different things. Seeds are cheap and easy, so not too bad, but you can also use things like rocks or flint. Carrots will work as well to lure birds to land in the trap. You can also leave the trap on the ground without any bait in it. You just have a smaller chance of actually catching something when it comes down into the trap. So now that we've got the main things that we need. We've got storage, we've got our cooking and our food storage, the icebox. We've got the bird trap up. We've even collected glommer already. We are in really, really good shape for this point in the run. So the next steps to do is to figure out what do we need. So the basic resources are never bad to go for, especially wood, because you need 12 logs for every chest that you want to make, and you will need quite a number of chests by the end of the game, as well as all the other things that you need wood and boards for. Would not be bad to go out and grab a bunch of grass, sticks, although I think I've got a whole bunch more sticks inside Chester, which does not... Oh, there he is. He's been sitting over here in the dark the whole time. Yeah, I still got a whole other stack of sticks waiting for me. The 12 petals that I had gathered earlier automatically had eventually turned to rot because their freshness ran out, but I do want to keep that rot for now for fertilizing plants a little bit later on. The next prototype I want to get out of the way here is a piece of rope. That will help. And then we will get our armor. As I mentioned earlier, the pig skins that we gathered from the pig heads that were around the resurrection stones, the touchstones, will make football helmets, and this will provide us with like an 85% damage reduction, whereas the grass suit only provides 60 or 65, I forget exactly the number. And then in Don't Starve Together, armor doesn't stack together, so there's no reason to have two pieces of armor on at any one time. It's always better just to have one piece of armor at a time, so that leaves us room to carry our backpack and have some armor at the same time here. Alright, I haven't thought about what I want to do for the next one. I did see that there was a beefalo roaming around in this area here, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to prototype a tool. Actually, we don't get to prototype. Oh, it is a prototype here. So the razor. So the razor can be used to shave off Wilson's beard, or Weber. I think Weber also grows a beard that you can shave. But I want to keep my beard because I want this to be tier 3 before we get to winter. So I've got the extra insulation for it. But after winter, we'll be shaving it off. But what we can do with the razor is shave the beefalos that we find in the world to get some beefalo hair, which will help with crafting items that we need to keep us warm in the winter. So yeah, there's one beefalo here. And I forget if there was more beefalo in this grassland. This is where you will find the beefalos for the most part, as well as lots of rabbits will appear here if you want to catch rabbits for food. We can go over that here in a minute as well. But I did want to just pop up here to see if there was more beefalo close by. Otherwise, I will have to travel all the way through to this area here, to this large grassland, to find some more beefalos. And yeah, I totally forget if they were up here or not, but what we can do while we're here is grab some of those rabbits that I was talking about just a second ago. So under food and gardening, we have something called a trap. Capture small creatures. Takes 2 sticks and 6 cut grass to make. These are generally not too bad. Just note that when you get close to one of these rabbits, they will get scared and run away. by default, they will run back towards their home nest or hole. So if you set the trap right in front, and I totally failed on that one. It fails more often than I want to admit, but you set the trap right in front of the hole along the path that they'll be taking when they come running back towards. And then they will fall into the trap. And then when you collect the trap, you get a rabbit in your inventory, which you can then murder for... he almost got back into his hole, but I scared him off to it. Let's see if we can't get a second rabbit here. There we go. Just to note that they do not stack in your inventory, so that is one of the downsides of the rabbits, as well as they will disappear into their holes now that it's evening time, so we don't have any more opportunity to do that. If that little trick with the rabbits isn't working out for you, you can also bait the traps in exactly the same way as that we baited the bird trap earlier. You just would want to use a carrot for sure on it to increase the chance that the rabbit is attracted to the trap, and so that you can get here. I'm also working on killing some spiders because we're going to need some more food. The name of the game, after all, is Don't Starve, so we're always going to want to make sure that we've got plenty of food on hand. And also silk is another big thing that I want to have access to, because silk is used in the making of the winter clothing as well. So multiple reasons to be hunting spiders at this point in the game, and I totally forgot to use traps on the spiders. Spiders, being a small creature, can be caught in the traps as well. You just have to kind of, direct them towards, oh, we've got a nice big beefalo herd right here. This is perfect. So when we get to the nighttime, the beefalo are all going to fall asleep, and we will be able to use the razor to shave them. See how if you try to shave one during the daytime, the character will definitely not be interested in trying to do that while they're awake, which hints that we just have to wait until the nighttime, and then we'll be able to shave off their hair and have that access to that resource for crafting a little bit later on here. Also remember that under my insights and my perks, there was this one here. Oh, this one I haven't unlocked yet, but if I wanted to, I could transform buffalo wool into beard hair. We don't need to do that just yet, but we might want to do that at some point. So unlocking that sometime will be a good thing for us. And also grab this manure. We don't need it right now, but we can use it eventually. And then I guess the last thing to talk about is this suspicious dirt pile. And we'll get to that first thing in the morning here after we're done shaving all of our beefalos. Because night's just about to fall here, so we'll be able to get that done right away. See how they're all lying down to sleep now, so we just take that and we shave them. This is an instance where having access to being able to spin the camera can be beneficial, because it'll be a little bit easier to target the ones that we haven't shaved yet. I think there's one more. Nope. I think we got them all here. And then we just have to hold our collect button, which is by default space, and click pick up all of the hair that we shaved off. You get 3 hair per beefalo, so this is going to be a really good haul here. So yeah, we ended up with 10 beefalo in this herd. Shaved them down, we ended up with 30 of those. So what we can do is investigate the suspicious dirt pile. And this will leave an animal track. And if we look at it a little bit closer, we can see that there's some toes on it. If we follow the direction of the toes, we'll be able to continue to track this animal. Now it's a little bit random on how many tracks you have to uncover to get to find the animal, but it generally doesn't take too long. And we just want to do this I want to do this just to outline this mechanic, because this will lead us to a great food source, or there is a possibility, a small chance, that we spawn a mini boss doing this as well, which we can just run away if that's the case in this point. We don't need to fight anything super dangerous because we don't want to end our game. So when you get that thing saying the beast must be nearby, oh, there he is. So that's a koalaphant. Part koala, part elephant. This guy will not let you get close to him. He will just run away if you try to get too close to him. But what we can do if we want to kill him is try and get him to go into a wall. So this is a lot harder than it looks, especially without any speed boost. And I don't really have any huge need for food at this point. We've still got a couple of meatballs left. We've got more meat on us here as well. So I'm going to give up on that endeavor for right now. It will be a lot easier to catch up to him when we've got a speed boost later on, or if we can find a way to make something else kill us. So we finally did catch a bird in our bird trap, so we'll harvest that, and we will put the bird into the bird cage, just like so. And I'm also going to put that in there, and we can kill the rabbit and get small morsels out of it as well. Put away some of these things that I've been finding. Oh, I've run out of space in my thing there. I guess the next thing that we should go for is, we're really burning through a lot of... Yes, we've got a hound attack coming. Because of all my talking, I didn't hear the hounds, but I saw the voice line come up there. So yeah, we've been burning through a lot of grass and twigs to make torches to keep the light on while we're in the dark, or when the darkness comes. But we can alleviate that by getting a miner's hat, which will be a lot easier on the resources in the long term. It will require a resource from the caves, which is really, really easy to get to maintain that light. But for now, we can grab it, and it will get us through a few nights without needing refueling. So if we go here to light sources, this is the miner hat. It's going to require a straw hat, a gold nugget, and a firefly. The fireflies are the tricky part of this equation, and unless you know how to get them, the game doesn't tell you how to do it. But you may have seen at night the fireflies floating around at random places in the world. The way we catch the fireflies is with a bug net. And the bug net requires 4 sticks, 2 silk, and 1 rope. So that's why I crafted the rope there a second ago. So now I've got everything I need, and it'll restore us some more of our sanity back. So we'll just do that prototype. Now I do have a bug net at the ready for going out and catching some fireflies when the nighttime comes. Now, one thing we can do with this trap to get a semi-steady source of rabbits is if we take our trap and we hover over the hole, the set trap disappears, but if you put it just off, like just off of it there, when that rabbit spawns in the morning, it will automatically fall into that trap. So you can collect a whole bunch of grass and twigs and put them over all of these little holes that we have all over the place and have a somewhat steady influx of small meats for keeping up with our food. The hounds are just about here. I've got armor on, I've got a proper weapon, so this should not be too much trouble at all. Especially in the early game, the hounds don't come in great big waves. 2 hits, and we got a runaway. So now we got to try and find a way to synchronize these hounds' attack. Oh, we even get 3 hounds at once here. This is nightmarish at the start of the game, but I've got them all distracted onto Chester now. A few of them, a couple of them we got distracted onto Chester. Hurting one of the hounds did take their aggro off of me and off of Chester and onto me, so just ooh, alright, that was pretty hairy. Chester actually managed to survive all of that. I'm quite surprised. I thought he was a goner for sure, but managed to get out of it. Got another one of these hound's tooth, so those will be useful a little bit later on. Some meat off of each of those, so now we've got a good amount of meat for us here, which I do want to cook up so it lasts longer. But the other thing we can do with this meat is I can feed it to the bird to get the aforementioned eggs. I'm going to give him 4 of those, and now I end up with 4 eggs. And along with these 2 morsels, I have everything that I need to make 2 sets of bacon and eggs. Wilson's and my favorite meal. So 2 eggs, 1.5 meat. So the large meat and the monster meat count as a full meat, but morsels only count as a half a meat. But this recipe only needs 1.5 meat, so that's why this recipe works. And we also wanted to find a firefly. There's a firefly there, but if I get close to it, it will disappear. So if I equip my bug net and then push the action button, so space, he will run up and collect the firefly. So that's the way to catch the fireflies while you're out there. You can use fireflies to refill your miner's hat, but they are limited in the world, which is why we're going to not do that too often as a matter of regularity, but need to eat some meatballs. They're just about to go stale, so finish those off. Another little bit for the ground storage until we can get some more wood collected. But let's go back to the light sources. The miner's hat, so this does require a straw hat, but if we just click this button here, it will craft that for us automatically. And now I have a miner hat, and instead of using the torch at night, I can use the miner hat. I won't be able to have my football helmet on at the same time because it goes into the hat slot, but that's kind of the price of admission there. The other handy thing from Glommer is that he drops this Glommer's goop every once in a while. This is a wonderful fuel source to use in our fire. Just we don't need it right now, so I'm not going to do it. So I think that's going to wrap up this beginner's guide for autumn. The rest of this season, what I'll be doing is uncovering some more of this black area. We might find some interesting things in there. Collect up some more of the general resources, especially wood. Collecting birch nuts is it's going to be okay in the early game here, but we're not going to want to rely on those going into the late game because of the mechanic where if you chop down a tree, you have a chance to spawn a tree guard. And the birch nut tree guard variants are extremely hard to fight, whereas the evergreen variants are less hard to fight. So I'll probably go out and chop down some of the evergreen trees and bring back some pine cones and get some of those planted close by my base, as well as prototyping up some of the other kinds of tools we need. So they do have the regular tools, but we also have the luxury versions of the tools, which are made with gold instead of flint. In this game, the gold tools last a lot longer. They have a lot higher durability than the flint variations, so you always want to be using those where you can. So I'll be doing a good amount of tree chopping, so I might as well prototype that one. And can also do a shovel, because this is one tool that we haven't seen here yet. This is how we can transport some of the other resources to bring close to our base. So as a general rule, I try to not dig up the resources that are close to my base first, but say we come out here, push the action button, and now we've got a grass tuft, and we can come and replant that closer to our base, and then grass will be growing there, and it'll be easier to collect. I guess the other thing I wanted to find was a twiggy tree. It's just over here. These trees are great because they drop the sticks on the ground. Okay, I obviously don't know that well enough, but they probably have to be a higher tier to drop the pine cone. It's a little bit different because these evergreen trees, if you chop them down when they're in their withered state, you still do get a pine cone, but it doesn't work that way with the twiggy trees. And because we don't have saplings in this world, so normally instead of the twiggy trees, we'd have saplings. Let's see, can we do it with this one? Yes, I believe this one will give us the pine cone, or the twiggy tree cone at the end. So the other thing we can do with the shovel is dig up the stumps of the trees that we chopped down. So in total, from the tier 3 size trees, we'll be getting 4 logs. 3 from when it drops, 1, 2, 3, as well as the 1 from the stump. So I'm going to grab, oh, I've got 2 twiggy tree cones there already. We don't need a ton of those, but we will need a fair amount of grass, 9, 12, 25, depending on the size of the farm that we want to make. But just a few is good enough. We don't need a lot of them at this stage in the game. We can also dig up these berry bushes and replant them a little bit closer to home. And we'll just have to go over the last mechanic to talk about with respect to moving these resources. So the berry bushes and the grass tufts will need to be fertilized before they grow. Oh, and speak of, we've got an extra rabbit there already, and this trap stays exactly in the perfect position. So that's great there. So let's just talk quickly about planting. Berry bushes, twiggy trees. The twiggy trees and the saplings will not need to be fertilized to grow, but as I mentioned a second ago, the grass tufts and the berry bushes do. This is why I kept all those 12 flower petals that I had before, and I let them go stale and to rot, because these will work for fertilizer. So now that that's a fertilized grass tuft, it will start growing grass. And then exactly the same with the berry bushes. They've been fertilized and they will start growing berries. Let's collect the bird out of that bird trap. Let's get some of these evergreen trees planted close by here as well. I'm not doing these in a super neat or organized way for now. We can do all of that later, but just wanted to illustrate how we can move resources closer to our base so that they're handier to collect. And we can reconfigure this at any time as long as we have the resources to refertilize, etc. So just like this, be collecting up a bunch of wood and clearing out the area around my base just so that I've got more room to expand and have more places to build things and more resources to do things with, like build more chests and so on and so forth. So because I ate those meatballs when they were stale, I got a reduced amount of hunger back from them. Get a fire up and going for the night. Instead of shift-clicking those berries in to combine with those ones, I'm going to start a new pile there. Because I've got... Oh, I was going to demonstrate this as well. So, if I killed the crow in my inventory, I've got a chance to get a feather or a morsel. But if I cook one of these things straight out of my inventory, I will get the cooked morsel instead. And it's the other way we can guarantee getting a morsel from the bird instead of getting a feather, just like that. I was going to make an extra meatball, just like so. Reorganize my inventory. So this pan flute, I guess that's something I could illustrate as well. This I found lying on the ground right beside the Glommer statue. This is a wonderful thing, especially in defense. I should have used it when I had that huge hound wave. I couldn't believe I got 5 hounds this early into the game, but that is what it is, I guess. So we've got a right click to play on our hound suit, and I wanted to find the Qualiphant. He wandered all the way up here. He has. So if we're in a certain range and we play the pan flute, it will put the creatures to sleep. And this is one of the ways we can use to get the Qualiphant. So I can attack this Qualiphant, but he's going to fight back. So I'll go over the kiting pattern for the Qualiphant here. So when he attacks, we can go back in for 6 hits. I only did 5 there, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then run away. He will attack, and that's the kiting for the Qualiphant. He dropped a lot of meat. Great source of food, and as well a Qualiphant trunk. A couple of things that we can do with the Qualiphant trunk: we can eat it. Eating raw meat is not good for you. It will reduce your sanity, and it will not give you very much stats at all. But if we cooked it, it would be fairly decent. The other thing we can do with this Qualiphant trunk is make a piece of winter clothing, which we can go over in a future episode when we get closer to winter. Now I am going to plant a bunch more of these birch nuts just to have them out here. And I haven't, I've taken a little bit of damage, I guess. During the next night, I can consider cooking up some more birch nuts and getting some more berries, especially from all of these berries here, here, and here that I've got close by, and have more access to more of the healing food, the trail mix. The other thing I need to do is get more gold. I guess we can illustrate that here right away. So if you go to the Pig King with a meat item, so a morsel, one of these regular meats, monster meat won't work, but what will work are eggs. And we saw earlier that we can turn monster meat into eggs, so in a way, yes, monster meat works to get gold from the Pig King, but if we just trade, give the Pig King this piece of meat, we'll get a piece of gold back. And then while I'm here, I'm just going to come up here. I've got a great big patch of berries where I just have to hold the action button. So for me it's F, but for default it would be space, and just gather up a whole bunch of berries at one time. I'm not too worried if these if I use these berries before they go stale, because then that will leave me more rot, which I can use to relocate these berry bushes closer to my base, or fertilize some more cut grass if I want to have access to more of that close by. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I will continue on with some of the regular autumn chores. And in the next episode when we come back, there was a dark petal lying on the ground. These catcoons will cough up things from time to time. They've got a pretty big range of different things that they can, but I'll just grab those dark petals now because I've got a couple in my ice box already, and we can combine them together and get some more rot out of it eventually. Actually, if we take these and put them on the floor, they will rot faster than keeping them in the fridge. At any rate, I am going to wrap this one up here. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. And yeah, we'll come back. This will turn into a little bit more of a let's play from here on out. And I'll explain mechanics and things as they come up, but it'll just be general survival from here until the beginning of winter, which comes on day 20. So it's coming pretty fast here. So not too far away, we'll be into the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of Don't Starve. Anyways, I appreciate you all, and we will see you in the next one.